Hi, and welcome to this week's edition of our deep dive webinars. My name is Savannah, and I am part of the customer success team here at Sendable. Welcome. We're so glad that you are joining us to talk about the ideal agency setup, especially focusing on user management. So, making sure that your agency is as set up for success as possible. I will be joined later in the session by Julie from our support team. I don't know if you've noticed, but we are a dynamic duo in these webinars lately. And if you've been here before, you know that we have a few different things to the left. Or it's to the right actually. You'll have a questions tab where you can put any questions related to user management or anything that we're covering today. You can also talk about you can pop your hellos in the chat box. You can see, hi, Peter. Hi, Michelle. Welcome. Glad that you guys are here. We are going to, so before we get started though, I can't get ahead of myself. Before we get started, we're going to do an icebreaker. So my icebreaker, because it finally feels like autumn here in the States, is what is your favorite fall traditions? So this year I actually went and chose some pumpkins with my 1-year-old, and it was just an absolute blast. So fall traditions, definitely send them my way because it is so much fun. Pete says kicking leaves in the park. I love the crinkly sound. It's a great one. Melissa says pumpkin spice coffee creamer. I am a huge fan. As generic and basic as it can come, I am so for it. Sweaters, jumpers, yes, Julie, awesome. Okay, keep popping those traditions and favorite fall moments in the chat, and we will dive in. Okay, Marcus, I don't know what conkers are, what that is. So you'll have to give me just a little bit more info. I'm assuming it is just because I am boring and living in America. A British game. Nice. Well, I will have to look that up after the session. Awesome. Okay, well, I'm going to share my screen and here we go. We'll dive in. So, here we go. Here I am logged in as an administrator. Okay, so when you start your account with Sendable, I'm kind of going to just do kind of a role-playing opportunity to show you what it looks like to have your agency set up for success, especially as you add your team to the dashboard. So we are going to come over here and we're going to go over to the admin section, manage users. And I'm going to be focusing on, I'm logged in right now as the Agency Europe, which is the CEO of this company. But I'm going to be focusing in on the UK team. Okay, so that's kind of how I'm going to structure this webinar today. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that it's great to have the main administrator be someone in the company who will not have to transition out. That's why it's nice to have someone like the CEO or the owner of the business as the main admin. They're generally going to be the person who's managing subscription details, like down here. And it also just gives them the access to share this with any new hires that come on board. Now, I also recommend that you have the day-to-day manager of social media added as an administrator on your account. So that is going to be the UK office. So if you come in here and you click on edit, this is already obviously a pre-created user, but I do want to kind of show off I'm an added manager to their name. That way you would kind of understand their role. And you're going to come down here and you're going to check on their account. So their account has administrator, which allows them to have access to create and manage all users. And I've chosen not to have them managed by anyone. They are an individual user who doesn't need to be managed necessarily by the CEO. And we can go down here. You can include also has access to. So if you need this manager to have access to, let me just close this. So for instance, if the UK office also needs access to the French office because they are both managers, maybe managers of different teams, you can do that by giving them access under account, also has access to the French office or not. that is up to you, and you can decide based on the structure of your team how to build out these account settings. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that once we have the administrator for the UK office, I actually have a few different types of users under them. Now, this includes the content writer, an intern, and a client. Now, I want to kind of explain these and just give you the structure of what the manager is doing and what the content writer, the intern, and the client are all doing. And we're going to actually update their permissions or what they have access to see in the dashboard based on what they're actually doing functionally. So for instance, we're going to come into the London content writer. This is a staff member of the UK office and works for this manager. So I'm going to go ahead and click edit to edit this user, and I'm going to come over to the account settings. Now, this is correct. They are a team member. They can collaborate on with other team members and tasks and other posts. So this allows everyone who are all managed by the UK office and to maintain user hierarchy. If I ended up needing to add maybe a graphic designer or someone else to also work alongside the content writer, I would want them to have the exact same settings. Team member managed by the UK office with the maintain user hierarchy turned on so that both of them could work together and collaborate on tasks. So that is one version here. Now in the credentials area, we also have the default permissions turned on. And so we can decide if that's going to be the best fit. Maybe for my content writer, I actually want to block some of these headings because these are not necessary for them to fulfill their job description. So if you're going to come over here, you have the permissions area. And the permissions area, we are actually going to add a new permissions group, and we're going to call this the content writer. Okay. Now, what do we want the content writer to have access to? Now, we know we want them to have access to the content area, especially to my content where they generate content. But maybe I also enjoy them having access to the blog feeds that I've already saved. So I can go ahead and click access to RSS feeds so that they can, again, develop the best content for our group. Now, one thing I do want to mention now is if they're a content writer and they're looking to only create content but not schedule, then that's the only permission that they need to have, which would mean that this content tab is the only thing they will see when they log in. If, however, you want them also to schedule and be able to view those messages, you can also add the publish area as another area for them to be able to take a look at and to compose messages. So we can apply that here. All right, so content writer. Now we have then for the content writer, then we have the Manchester and Leeds. Now I wanted to kind of dive into these two because we know that teams are structured differently, that we often have staff on hand at an agency, but that we also may have interns either potentially through the summer or through the school year as we are looking to kind of build out our team and to provide workplace experience. Now for this intern, so you're gonna see this here, I'm gonna go ahead and edit settings, and I want to have a handle on what this intern will have access to, because it's crucial that they only have access to what they need to fulfill their job description, but that they also don't have access to things that will not prove valuable for the team. So in that case, I'm gonna go ahead and mark them as a client. This is the most limited view because they do not have access to any other user dashboards. They also don't have access to any other user dashboards and any other posts. Any post that they will see will be the post created within their dashboard. So that is tends to be a good fit for the intern status. Now we also have them managed by the UK office manager. Maintain user hierarchy, yes, but the intern does not need access to another team member. One other thing that I do want to mention is that we can also implement the needs approval before publishing, and we can actually decide that no, we don't want the approvals to go to the CEO. We want these to go directly to his manager, this intern's manager. And this means that every time they create a post, this will automatically require a approval by the manager. All right, we're going to update that. So now our intern set to the client user type so that there are limitations. Now I wanted to go ahead and show you what, let me see here. I had it pulled up for just so you guys could see what it looks like. Sorry, lots of tabs open, guys. It's very exciting. Okay, so here we have leads, which would be the intern. I need to reload this so that I can see those. So you'll notice that this intern only has access to their dashboard. So while they can right now they can have access to all of these tabs because I haven't updated permissions, they only have access to their own dashboard because of their user settings. So that's super important to recognize kind of the difference there. Now, it's also important that we have the opportunity to add clients to your agency. So if you do tend to have, and you want to break out your clients by user dashboard, which we definitely recommend for reporting purposes, as well as just for simplicity and making sure that you're posting to the right client, you can actually break them out and add a client dashboard like Manchester. And this is what it's going to look like. Their account is going to, again, be marked as client, and we're going to go ahead and have them be managed by that manager here. And then we're going to maintain user hierarchy and not give them access to anyone else. And we can force approvals, or we can leave that approval, needs approval for publishing as no, depending on how you operate with that client. So one thing I do want to mention is that when switching dashboards, for instance, if I was to go ahead and switch into the Manchester client dashboard and I was to come to this area, you would actually be able to see everything. Now, the reason for this is because the agency that the person you're logged in as, so dashboard, switch into dashboard, who you're logged in as is over here. The login was the admin, which means that you have access to the whole team. And that is never going to be untrue while you're logged in. Instead, in order to see what Manchester can see within their dashboard as a client, you can actually filter by this user dashboard, and it would actually fit, and you could see only what they see because of things that were created within that client dashboard. So just keep in mind that the filter option is really how to get a better view on what it really looks like to be logged in as a client. Now, one other piece that I wanted to include, because it's really important when dealing with a large team, is to actually deal with profiles, right? Okay, we want to talk about how do I ensure that everyone on my team has the profiles that they need. Now, I'm logged in as the CEO because I'm the one who manages the Meta Business Manager that then has access to the profiles that I need. So I'm going to be the one who actually adds profiles. And then I'm going to come over here, and to save me some time, I'm actually going to do this profile sharing. And that's the ability to share profile share in bulk. So the owner of the profile is Agency Europe. Again, I'm the CEO. And then I can come in here and I can share some profiles with this content writer. Now, I'm going to go ahead and share the Books and Brew profiles here. So I'll come in, add a few of these. Perfect. Okay, so those are the profiles that I want shared over. So I'm going to go ahead and move them over to the London content writer to make sure they have access to those profiles. Now, again, I also want my intern to have access, but because they're new to the team and I want to make sure that we have everything structured so that they can really find success, I'm going to actually only give them access to our Facebook page, which is a little bit early in its development, and we're going to let them kind of work up to managing our Instagram and our LinkedIn profile. So I'm only going to give them access to this page. Again, owner is of the profiles are the CEO because I manage the Meta Business Suite that then has access to our client pages. And I get to choose who to share that with, like our intern or our content writer. So that is my piece. So that was what I wanted to show you guys. I wanted to go through and kind of walk through the purpose of having these different user types. I wanted to show you what it looks like to create and establish permission groups, and also to kind of show you what it looks like to share profiles with those users to make sure that everyone has access to what they need to do their job well. Now, I'm going to stop sharing and check the questions tab. Is it? We have just Pete mentioning that you could ask questions there. So, do we have any questions around the user setup, about creating and managing users as a team, or perhaps about sharing profiles with those team members? Any questions? I'm going to invite Julie to come on and go ahead and so that we can see if anybody comes up with one. Hi, Julie.
Hello.
It looks like Kara might be looking to have one. Oh, no worries, Kara. We will actually send the full recording over to you at the end of the session.
I will say that you did cover what people can see on their dashboard. And that is one that we see a lot of tickets on the support desk about, is people are concerned that when they log in and look at their clients' accounts, that they can see everything because that person is logged in as an admin and has access to everything. But the client oftentimes cannot, and that filtering is the way to check to see what they can see.
Awesome. We do have a few questions. One from Melissa. Can clients edit their scheduled posts? Short answer is yes. If the post was created in the client dashboard, they can make edits if they log into the dashboard. So if you're creating them there. The next question is from Kara. Do you have to share the client's profiles with them and schedule in their profile or dash for them to see those posts? So that's if I understand, Kara, please correct me if I've not understood your question, but in order for clients to see their posts in their dashboard, do we have to share client profiles and schedule in their dashboard for them to see those posts? Perfect. Okay, so yes. The answer is yes.
That's the second issue we see on the support desk a lot, is that people inadvertently created on the wrong dashboard and then it's not appearing on the client's dashboard. And yeah, that can make a difference.
Yeah. So you can switch into the client dashboards really easily on that top left-hand side and just make sure that you're scheduling for the client as the client. The next question is from Laura. If you shared a profile with a user, can they create a report for that profile under their account? If I'm understanding, Laura, if I understand your question, if you're sharing that profile, yes, you can create reports based on the profiles that you have access to that's shared with you. You also have access to create reports with profiles that you've added yourself.
There's some, you showed about permission groups. If that's something you didn't want your clients to do, you could take that permission away. Yeah. And depending on the subscription you have, you may or may not have custom reports available. And if you do have custom reports available, it is possible that you are out of slots for custom reports and they would be blocked from adding new reports. So that comes up from time to time as well.
Yeah. Awesome. McKenna asks, is the admin the only role that can connect and disconnect social accounts? It kind of depends on what your question is. Do you mean the user dashboard, or do you mean the admin of the actual social account, like an administrator of a Facebook profile? You would need to have access to that, full access to that profile, either if you are the administrator and you owned that profile yourself, or if it was shared with you via Meta Business Suite. But admin users are not the only ones that can add profiles. Anyone can add a profile as if they have access to it on the social site itself. Kara, if we've scheduled them already, can we easily move them or should we reschedule? That is a great question. I recommend using our bulk importer, and I will actually drop the webinar for how to use that bulk importer, because that can be super helpful to export scheduled messages that you already have scheduled and upload them in a new user dashboard like the clients in order to make sure that they can see them. So let me see here. Let me pull up bulk importer here. Awesome. Any other questions? Okay, so let me just, Julie, you are the best. All right, here's the deep dive on the bulk compose feature, and there are the steps to go through it. Julie, you are aces. Brianna asked, can you explain the user hierarchy a bit more? Sure, I will jump back in. All right, so the user hierarchy is a little bit of a misnomer, just a little bit confusing sometimes, but my goal here will be to explain it hopefully as easily as possible. For instance, the UK office manager, they are a manager, so that's their role in the company, and so they do not need to be managed by another user. Now, the content writer, as a content writer and a team member who operates in their role under the office manager, we want them to be managed by. Now, managed by means that they have access, because they are managed by the office manager, as is the intern and the client. And we have maintain user hierarchy on turned yes, and they are all managed by the same person. Because this content writer is on staff with the office manager in that team, they have access to everyone in that hierarchy. So the hierarchy goes manager, and then you have everyone inside of that, which includes an intern, a client dashboard, and a team member. Each of those three, the content writer, because they are listed as a team member, they have access to the intern and to the client in order to take steps either to help the intern or to post on behalf of the client. So that's kind of how the hierarchy puts people in team groups and allows you to function in your role with, so for instance, let me show you what it looks like I think this is my content. No, I'm going to pull up my content writer just so that you can see what this looks like. I can actually see, oh, this is my intern. Again, I have too many tabs open, guys. I'm sorry. So we have content writer. This is the content writer, right? They have access to everyone in the room, right? In that team hierarchy, they can actually switch into the client or the intern to make sure that they can take action and create messages for that client. Or they can maybe come alongside and check on the intern's dashboard here.
Savannah?
Yes.
We're not seeing your screen.
Oh, no. What a bummer. Here we go. Okay, so here we have, let me just start over. We are switched into the team member, the London office, which is my content writer. Because the content writer is set to team member, they have access to actually everyone in that user hierarchy, because we have user hierarchy turned on for all of them. So we have the manager, the client, we have the intern, not the client, so leads the intern, and then we also have our content writer. So as the content writer, because they are a team member within that user hierarchy, they have access to everyone. Now, the client does not have access to everyone, because they are a team member within that user hierarchy. They have access to everyone. Now, the client does not have access to everyone either the client or the intern, because their user dashboard settings are set to client. Now, while they are in the room operating in that team, the London office is the team member who has access to everyone in that room. So hopefully that made sense of something that is a little bit complex to dive in. I am so sorry about not sharing my screen originally, but thank you for all of your help, guys. Awesome. Okay. Any other questions around agency setup, about making sure your agency is set up to the best of its ability? Looks like we have someone typing. Brianna. Yep. I'm so glad. That is the goal. We want to definitely make it as clear as possible. Awesome. Any other questions? We'll go ahead and say last call for questions. All right. Well, thank you again. It has been wonderful to catch up with all of you. I do want to mention that you can come by next week in order to see our sourcing, managing, and distributing content. So that's going to be super valuable. You definitely want to be there same time next week. Thank you so much, Julie. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. Bye.